You're getting on my nerves, Michael. I deserve better, Emily said with a cold smile, holding a glass of wine at the corporate party. I nodded, hiding my anger. Great, because I just sent your secret messages to HR. Her face paled as I walked away. This story of betrayal, justice, and shocking twists will reveal how Michael unraveled Emily's lies without resorting to violence. Ready for the tension? Michael pushed through the revolving doors of his Seattle office, the hum of a down server still ringing in his ears. It was barely noon, but management had sent everyone home. Network crash, no AC, just chaos. His head throbbed from a lingering headache, and all he wanted was to collapse on the couch with a beer. He'd been planning a surprise for Emily, his wife of 5 years, a quiet anniversary dinner at their favorite waterfront bistro. Reservations were set for tomorrow, roses already ordered. The thought of her smile kept him grounded as he navigated the clogged I-5 traffic. He pulled into their apartment complex, parked, and climbed the stairs, keys jangling in his hand. The door creaked open, and the air hit him first. Not the usual cool drift of their space, but something heavier, laced with an unfamiliar scent. It wasn't Emily's soft citrus perfume, the one that clung to his jackets after a hug. This was sharper, musky like it didn't belong. His pulse quickened. He stepped inside, scanning the living room. Everything seemed in place. The coffee table with her yoga magazines, the succulents she overwatered on the windowsill. But the air felt wrong, like someone had just left. He set his keys down, the clink echoing in the quiet. His eyes caught on the dining room chair. A black lace bra draped over the back, flung there carelessly. His stomach twisted. It wasn't Emily's. Her drawer was full of practical, comfortable pieces, chosen for function, not seduction. Even in their early days, when passion ran hot, she never wore anything like this. This bra was bold, expensive, the kind meant to be seen. He stepped closer, not touching it, just staring. The scent hit him again, stronger now, floral, mixed with a trace of cologne. Cologne. His chest tightened. Michael sank onto the couch, his mind racing. This wasn't a mix-up. Emily's gym bag wasn't even here. No way this came from a locker room. He thought back to the last few weeks. She'd been distant, her phone always face down, silenced. She'd laugh at texts she wouldn't share, brushing it off as work drama. Her evening spin classes had multiplied, 3 nights a week, sometimes 4. She'd come home flushed, breathless, but never sore, always heading straight to the shower. Last week, he noticed faint bruises on her lower back, finger-shaped. She'd laughed it off, something about leaning wrong during crunches. He believed her. Why wouldn't he? Now doubt clawed at him. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through their recent texts. Her replies were shorter lately, vague. Late class tonight, don't wait up. Just grabbing drinks with the girls. He'd trusted her, hadn't he? But the bra sat there like evidence, undeniable. He didn't touch it. Instead, he grabbed his laptop from the coffee table and opened it. Emily's Gmail was still logged in. They shared the device for bills. He hesitated, his fingers hovering over the trackpad. This wasn't him. He wasn't the guy who snooped. But the scent in the air, the bra, the lies, they pushed him forward. He clicked in her archived folder, scrolling past spam and newsletters. Then he saw it, a thread with Jake G. The name hit like a punch. Jake, her spin instructor, the one she'd mentioned casually, always with a smile. The email started innocently, playlists, gym tips. But they shifted. You get me like no one else does. Last night was everything. The date on that one was 3 weeks ago, when Emily said she was at her sister's. Michael's throat burned. He closed the laptop, his hands shaking. He didn't call her, didn't text. He needed proof, not a fight. He grabbed his phone and dialed Kate, Emily's friend from the gym. Hey, Kate, quick question. Has Emily been hitting those spin classes regularly? His voice stayed calm, casual. Kate paused, then said, she's missed a few lately. Said she was swamped with work. Michael thanked her and hung up. Swamped with work. Another lie. He paced the apartment, the bra still mocking him from the chair. Emily would be home soon. She'd texted about grabbing groceries after her class. He needed a plan. Confronting her now would just spark denials, deflections. He thought of the bachelorette party she'd mentioned, a weekend in Tacoma at the Pacific Marina Hotel. She'd leave tomorrow, pink sash and all. That was his chance. He called the hotel, spoke to a manager named Greg, and arranged a discreet check-in. A small Venmo tip sealed the deal. Greg would watch, report back. Michael sat back on the couch, the weight of his discovery settling in. He wasn't angry. Not yet. It was something colder, sharper. Betrayal wasn't just the bra or the emails. It was the ease of her lies, the way she'd played her part while he planned their anniversary. He glanced at the Rose's confirmation email on his phone. Then he deleted it. Dinner was off. Whatever came next, he'd face it with eyes open. Michael barely slept, his mind a tangle of Jake's emails and Emily's lies. By morning, he was already at the kitchen counter, coffee untouched, plotting his next move. Emily shuffled in, still in her pajamas, her phone clutched tightly. "Morning," she mumbled, avoiding his gaze as she poured cereal. He nodded, keeping his expression neutral. She'd leave for the Tacoma bachelorette party tonight, and he wasn't about to tip his hand. "Have fun this weekend," he said, voice steady. She smiled weakly, muttering about packing, then slipped into the bedroom. He waited until she left for work, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. The second the door clicked shut, Michael opened the laptop again. He dug deeper into Emily's emails, searching for anything he'd missed. A new thread caught his eye. Jake mentioning a meetup at the Pacific Marina Hotel during the bachelorette weekend. "Can't wait to see you there," he'd written, followed by a winking emoji. Michael's jaw clenched. Emily had replied, "Same. Just keep it quiet." His suspicion hardened into certainty. He needed more than emails. Michael called his friend Ryan, a tech consultant who owed him a favor. "Can you trace a phone's location without them knowing?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. Ryan hesitated but agreed, asking for Emily's number and a time frame. Michael gave him the details, specifying the weekend. "It's not illegal if it's my wife, right?" he added, half joking. Ryan chuckled, promising results by tomorrow. Michael spent the day at work on autopilot, nodding through meetings, his mind elsewhere. By 5 p.m., Emily texted, heading to Tacoma with the girls. "Back Sunday. Love you." The "love you" stung, a hollow reflex. He didn't reply. Instead, he packed a small bag, just a change of clothes and his charger. He wasn't sure what he'd do in Tacoma, but sitting still wasn't an option. The bra, the emails, her distance. They were pieces of a puzzle he couldn't ignore. He drove to the Pacific Marina Hotel, a sleek building overlooking Puget Sound, and checked into a room on a different floor. Greg, the manager he'd tipped, met him in the lobby, voice low. "Your wife checked in an hour ago with 3 other women. They're in a bar now, planning to hit a club later." Michael thanked him, slipping him another 20. "Let me know if anyone else joins her," he said. Greg nodded, pocketing the cash. Michael sat in his room, the TV on mute, waiting for Ryan's call. It came at 9 p.m. "Her phone's been pinging at the hotel since 6, Ryan said. "But last night, it was at a condo in downtown Seattle, not your place. Address matches a Jake Grayson." Michael's grip tightened on the phone. He thanked Ryan, hung up, and stared at the wall. Jake wasn't just a fling, he was a fixture. He texted Greg. "Any visitors to her room?" Greg replied within minutes. Man entered her room, 10:45 p.m. No lagi. Dark hair, athletic build. Michael's pulse raced. He didn't need a photo to know it was Jake. He paced the room, weighing his options. Confronting them now would be messy, emotional, pointless. He needed to be smart, not reckless. He pulled out the black lace bra, still in a Ziploc bag from when he'd found it. An idea sparked. He called Greg again. "Can you deliver something to her room tomorrow morning?" Discreetly, like it's a lost item. Greg agreed, no questions asked. Michael handed over the bag with instructions to give it to Emily at breakfast in front of her friends. He wanted her to feel the weight of her own lies, to know he was close without saying a word. By midnight, Michael was back in his car, driving aimlessly along the waterfront. The city lights blurred past, each one a reminder of a life he thought he had with Emily. He remembered their first date, a rainy hike where she'd slipped and he'd caught her, both of them laughing until they couldn't breathe. Now, that memory felt like someone else's story. He pulled over, staring at the dark water, and checked his phone. Emily had texted again. "Miss you already. Night." He deleted it. The next morning, he returned to the hotel, parking across the street. He didn't go inside, just watch from his car. At 8:30 a.m., Greg texted, "Delivered the package." She opened it at the breakfast bar, looked shaken. Michael imagined her face the moment she saw the bra, the realization that he knew. He didn't feel triumph, just a cold clarity. He started the engine and drove north, not toward home, but to a place where he could think, his family's old cabin by Lake Washington. The cabin was an hour away, tucked among pines, far from cell service. He hadn't been there in years, but the key was still under a loose porch board. Inside, it smelled of dust and cedar. He dropped his bag and sat on the sagging couch, the silence pressing in. His phone buzzed. Another message from Emily. "We need to talk. Please." He powered it off. For the first time in days, he felt a sliver of control, not over her, but over himself. Whatever came next, he'd face it on his terms. Michael woke to the sound of wind rattling the cabin's windows, the lake outside shimmering under a gray dawn. He'd spent the night on the couch, unable to sleep in the old bedroom where memories of simpler times lingered. His phone, still off, sat on the coffee table, a silent weight. He brewed coffee, the bitter steam grounding him as he replayed the hotel manager's text. Emily had seen the bra, her composure cracking in front of her friends. He felt no satisfaction, only a hollow resolve to see this through. He powered on his phone, the screen lighting up with notifications. Emily's messages flooded in, 27 texts, 3 voicemails, each more frantic than the last. "Michael, please, it's not what you think. I'm coming home. We need to talk. I'm so sorry." He didn't read past the previews. Her words were noise, not answers. He deleted the voicemails unheard and blocked her number. Clarity, not closure, was what he needed now. He opened the cabin's desk drawer, finding a worn notebook. He wrote one line. She chose this. "I choose me." It felt like a vow. He needed more than gut instinct to end this cleanly. Back in his car, he drove to a nearby gas station with spotty Wi-Fi and called his lawyer, Sarah, a friend from college who handled divorces. "I need to protect myself," he said, voice steady. "Emily's been cheating. I have proof." Sarah asked for details, emails, texts, anything concrete. Michael forwarded Jake's email thread, the one with damning lines about their nights together. Sarah promised to draft papers and advise him to stay calm, legal. He returned to the cabin, but the quiet no longer soothed him. He needed to act. Emily worked in marketing at a tech firm where Jake was a contractor. Their affair wasn't just personal, it violated the company's fraternization policy. Michael drafted an anonymous email to their HR department, attaching screenshots of the emails, carefully redacting his name. He sent it from a burner account he'd created on the gas station Wi-Fi. The message was simple. These 2 employees are involved in an inappropriate relationship. See attached. He hit send, his heart pounding, but his hands steady. By noon, he drove back to Tacoma, unable to stay away. The Pacific Marina Hotel loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting the cloudy sky. He didn't check in this time, just parked across the street, watching the entrance. At 1:15 p.m., Emily emerged from the elevator with her friends, her suitcase trailing behind. She moved slowly, her phone pressed to her ear, her posture tense. Michael's phone buzzed, a new number, probably hers from a friend's phone. He ignored it. Then he saw Jake, slipping out a side exit, glancing over his shoulder like a man expecting trouble. Michael's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He followed Jake at a distance, keeping 2 cars between them. Jake pulled into a coffee shop lot, and Michael parked across the street. He wasn't here to confront, just to observe. Jake met a man in a suit. Their conversation heated, hands gesturing. Michael snapped a photo with his phone, zooming in. The man looked like someone from their company, maybe his supervisor. Michael sent the image to Sarah with a note. "This might be useful." She replied instantly. "Keep me posted. Don't engage." Emily's next text came from her own number, unblocked somehow. "I'm at the hotel. I know you're here. Please talk to me." Michael stared at the screen, then powered it off again. He wasn't ready for her excuses, not when the truth was still unfolding. He drove back to the cabin, the road blurring as his mind raced. He remembered their last anniversary, how Emily had planned a surprise picnic, her laugh bright as she fed him strawberries. That woman felt like a stranger now, replaced by someone who could lie so easily. At the cabin, he checked his email. Sarah had sent a draft of the divorce papers, clean and straightforward, citing irreconcilable differences. No alimony, no shared assets. She'd get the car, he'd keep the apartment. He signed digitally, his signature a final cut. He also found a reply from the HR department. "We're investigating your complaint. Thank you for bringing this to our attention." The wheels were turning. That night, he lit a fire in the cabin's hearth, the crackle filling the silence. He wrote in the notebook again, "I'm not her keeper. I'm my own." He thought of confronting Emily in the hotel lobby, imagined her tears, her pleas. But that wasn't justice. It was chaos. He'd let the system handle her now. The HR email was his checkmate, legal and final. As the fire died down, he felt a shift. Not peace, but purpose. Tomorrow, he'd head back to Seattle, ready to face whatever came next. Michael woke to the faint buzz of his phone, left on the cabin's kitchen counter overnight. He'd kept it off most of the time, but the single bar of signal had let a new email slip through. It was from the HR department at Emily's company. Investigation concluded. Both parties had been terminated for policy violations. His anonymous tip had worked. Emily and Jake were out of their jobs. He set the phone down, his breath steady but heavy. It wasn't joy he felt, just a grim satisfaction that the truth had consequences. He packed his bag, leaving the notebook open on the table with a new entry. Actions have weight. Hers did. Mini do. The cabin solitude had sharpened his focus, but it was time to return to Seattle. He locked the door, slid the key back under the porch board, and drove south, the lake fading in his rear view. The highway hummed under his tires, each mile pulling him closer to a life he'd have to rebuild alone. Back at the apartment, he found Emily's things still scattered. Her yoga mat by the couch, a half-empty coffee mug in the sink. No note, no sign she'd been back since Tacoma. He checked his phone again. No new messages. Her silence was louder than her pleas had been. He called Sarah, his lawyer, to confirm the divorce papers were filed. "They're with the court," she said. "Emily's been served. She has 30 days to respond." Michael thanked her and hung up, the finality settling in his bones. He sat at the kitchen counter, sorting through mail that had piled up. A letter from Emily's company caught his eye, addressed to her, marked urgent. He didn't open it, just set it aside. Curiosity tugged, but he wasn't her keeper anymore. Instead, he texted his friend Ryan. "Need a favor. Can you check if Jake's still in Seattle?" Ryan replied quickly, "On it. Give me a day." Michael needed to know if Jake was still a factor, not for revenge, but to close the loop. By evening, he walked to a nearby diner, craving noise to drown out his thoughts. The clatter of plates and low chatter helped. He ordered a burger, ate slowly, and overheard a conversation at the next table. Two women discussing a co-worker's sudden firing over an affair. It wasn't about Emily, but it stung like it was. He paid the bill and stepped outside, the Seattle drizzle cool on his skin. His phone buzzed. Ryan. "Jake's gone. Moved to Portland, per his social media. Looks like he's starting over." Michael exhaled. One less shadow to dodge. Back home, he opened his laptop and found a new email from Emily, sent from a personal account. "I lost my job. I know you told HR. I don't blame you. I ruined us. Can we talk?" He stared at the words, his finger hovering over the reply button. Instead, he archived it. Talking wouldn't undo the nights she spent with Jake, the lies she fed him, the bra she left like a taunt. He shut the laptop and grabbed a box from the closet, starting to pack her things, books, a scarf, a pair of earrings from their first Christmas. Not out of anger, but necessity. The next morning, he met with Sarah at her office downtown. She slid a folder across the desk. Emily's lawyer reached out. "She's not contesting the divorce, wants it quick and clean." Michael nodded, signing where she pointed. "Any chance she'll try to spin this against me?" he asked. Sarah shook her head. "Her emails to Jake are too clear. She's got no leverage." He left the office lighter, like a knot in his chest had loosened. That afternoon, Ryan called with a lead. Found something else. Jake was let go from another firm last year. Same reason, fraternization. Guy's got a pattern. Michael thanked him, then forwarded the info to Sarah, just in case. He wasn't building a case anymore, but he wanted every angle covered. Back at the apartment, he kept packing, filling 2 boxes with Emily's belongings. He found a photo of them hiking Mount Rainier, her smile wide, his arm around her. He set it aside, not ready to toss it. By nightfall, he drove the boxes to a storage unit he'd rented under his name. He didn't want her back in the apartment, stirring up old air. As he locked the unit, his phone lit up, a text from Kate, Emily's friend. "She's staying with me. She's a mess, says she wants to fix things. What should I tell her?" Michael typed back, "Tell her to sign the papers." He hit send and drove home, the city lights blurring into streaks. In bed, he stared at the ceiling, the weight of the past weeks pressing down. He wasn't the man who'd planned that anniversary dinner, blind to her distance. He was someone new, forged in the quiet of the cabin and the clarity of her betrayal. Tomorrow, he'd sign up for a photography class he'd always postponed, a small step toward reclaiming himself. For now, he closed his eyes, letting the silence carry him forward. Michael woke to the faint hum of Seattle traffic filtering through his apartment window. The first morning in weeks, he hadn't jolted awake with dread. The divorce papers were finalized yesterday. Emily had signed without a fight, her lawyer confirming she'd moved to her sister's place in Bellevue. He checked his phone. No messages from her, just a confirmation email for the photography class he'd enrolled in, starting tonight. He set the phone down, ready to close this chapter. He walked to the kitchen, brewing coffee, and noticed the space felt lighter, unburdened by Emily's scattered belongings. The boxes he'd packed were gone, delivered to her storage unit. He'd kept one item, a small silver wave pendant she'd worn early in their marriage, found under the couch. He placed it in a drawer, not as a keepsake, but a reminder of what he'd learned. Trust blindly given could blind you to truth. At work, he focused, answering emails and joining a team call without the haze of the past weeks. His boss, noticing his sharper edge, asked him to lead a new project. Michael agreed, the challenge sparking a flicker of purpose. During lunch, he stepped outside, the crisp air sharp against his skin, and called his brother, Tom, who lived across town. "I'm good," Michael said, meaning it for the first time. "Come over this weekend? I could use a beer and some bad jokes." Tom laughed, promising to bring both. Back at the apartment, he found a letter slipped under the door, Emily's handwriting, no stamp. He opened it, bracing himself. "Michael, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I broke what we had, and I'll carry that. I hope you find what makes you happy. I'm trying to." No signature, just her initials. He read it once, then shredded it. Her words didn't pull him back. They pushed him forward. He grabbed his laptop and enrolled in a weekend hiking group, something he'd loved but sidelined for years to fit Emily's schedule. That evening, he walked to the community center for his photography class. The room buzzed with strangers, their cameras clicking as the instructor explained aperture settings. Michael listened, jotting notes, his fingers itching to hold the old Nikon he'd dug out of storage. A woman next to him, Lena, asked to borrow a pen. They swapped tips on lenses, her easy laugh cutting through his lingering tension. He didn't flirt, didn't force it, just felt the stir of possibility like a door left ajar. After class, he stopped by a corner store, picking up ingredients for dinner. Fresh basil, pasta, a bottle of red. Cooking alone used to feel hollow, but tonight he chopped and stirred with focus, the sizzle of garlic filling the air. He ate at the counter, scrolling through photography blogs, planning a weekend shoot at Golden Gardens Park. The city skyline glowed outside, a quiet promise of new beginnings. The next day, he met with Sarah, his lawyer, to tie up loose ends. "You're free," she said, handing him the final court documents. "No claims, no complications." He nodded, tucking the papers away. On a whim, he asked about pro bono work, maybe helping others navigate divorces. Sarah raised an eyebrow, impressed. "I'll connect you with a local clinic," she said. Michael left her office, the weight of the past lifting with each step. That night, Tom came over, cracking jokes over pizza and IPAs. They talked about everything but Emily, work, sports, a camping trip they planned as kids, but never took. "Let's do it," Michael said, pulling up a map of Olympic National Park. Tom grinned, clinking his bottle against Michael's. For the first time in months, laughter came easily, unforced. On Saturday, Michael joined the hiking group, trekking a muddy trail along the Puget Sound. The group's chatter faded as he focused on the rhythm of his steps, the salt air sharp in his lungs. At a lookout point, he snapped a photo of the horizon, the water glinting under a rare burst of sun. He didn't post it, didn't need to. Capturing it was enough. Back home, he printed the shot, pinning it to a corkboard beside his desk, a small marker of his new path. Sunday morning, he got an email from Kate, Emily's friend. She's starting therapy, moving to Portland for a fresh start. Michael didn't reply. Emily's choices were hers now, just as his were his. He spent the day editing photos, each click of the mouse a step away from the man who'd ignored his instincts. By evening, he stood on his balcony, watching the city pulse below. He wasn't whole yet, but he was honest, with himself, with what he wanted. That was enough to keep moving forward.